So another proposal that I have regarding flood issues are flood emergency management centers. Let's just call it that for the time being. So these are specific proper places. Maybe you rent out rooms or in community centers, or you just pack a container full of the essential stuff and place it in designated areas. And they are located throughout the country, especially in the flood prone areas. I mean, at many places in different centers, city centers which are more prone to flash floods or emergencies, things like that, especially the regional areas, which often get overlooked and people face lots of financial losses. I mean, there have been, I think, around $4.3 billion in insurance claims due to the flooding problems, if what I read is right. And it can certainly be helped by doing a bit investment in preventive measures. So this management centers, what would they contain? So they're basically a place. You could have an app which provides location of all of these centers, where they are located, where is your nearest center to the public. You can integrate it with other systems or ideas that I presented on the channel, or just generally just work on this and you provide information to people with this. So what are these centers? What would they contain? So this is basically a place that contains emergency or goods, items and stuff, essentials that would be required in case of flooding and problems like that. They are preferably at a height, uh, so that they don't get flooded themselves. They should contain items like inflatable boats in case people need to conduct search and rescue, torches, stored food, fresh drinking water, um, ropes, rope meshes, um, satellite phones in case you want to contact and there is no service, power banks, generators in case there is no electricity and there is like some appliance that might require it, battery powered generator, whatever the case is. There must be some other alternatives that might be a bit more or less complicated to use. uh, Halos, are they called halos? No, what do you call those? Flares, emergency flares that you can use to signal for help. First aid kits. Then you have your books that contain basic information on how to handle different problems, first aid problems or flood prone problems you have in case of cuts. I mean, let's suppose there is not an experienced staff member over there, and the local community arrives at that location before a professional arrives. So if they have an injured people, how can they handle that? I mean, you have most flood related problem guidebooks on how to handling floods. So if someone is going back to their home, the kind of steps they should take, the kind of steps they shouldn't take, provides guidance on all of those. Maybe you have a computer or a PC that contains videos, lots of helpful videos, information, lots of video information on handling floods and things like that. So people have something to look forward to, or something to understand during the time. Temporary tents, yes, to save people. Let's suppose there are animals and you have to relocate animals. So I think animals can be temporarily placed in tents, picnic tents. Those, what do they call those? Yeah, those parachute tents, the parachute fabric based ones. They can certainly, I hope they can temporarily contain animals or whatever. You have other ones as well. Let's suppose you have to rescue livestock, you have to temporarily move them somewhere. Fencing, netting, perhaps. So I'm getting more towards rescuing animal side of things, where you can get to a designated area and you can enclose them over there. I mean, every life matter, right? Humans are the first priority, but also there are other things, animals or whatever, that you can protect. Also, I just remembered you should have waterproof bags, life buoys for life jackets, vests, whistles. I mean, like overall basic emergency helpful things that a person can use in those emergencies, and you have these centers designated throughout. I mean, they should be in every town that people can have access to, depending on the population. They would definitely make a difference. But more than that, it should be very easy to I mean, people can quickly take steps to prevent the floods. You don't know where the flood might occur. There are flash floods that occur due to heavy rains, and weather is sometimes unpredictable. It has been becoming unpredictable over the last few years. And yeah, people at least are a bit more prepared for it. So are you if you have call centers or whatever that are contacting people, and you can guide them to the nearest management center or whatever the case is. Yeah, and the last important point of this proposal is that these centers could contain, you could add more items over time. I just mentioned a few things off the top of my head, but obviously there would be a lot more survivalistic gear that could be useful or helpful or more necessary and vital that I might have overlooked. Based on depending on that, you can store those areas in these management centers, and uh, yeah, it could be very helpful in the future in case of emergency, especially floods.